Welcome back, and many thanks for staying with us on the #1 breakfast show in the country, Morning at NTV. How about we get the latest in the entertainment industry with Andrew Kagwa, an arts and culture journalist with the Daily Monitor. There's a simmering situation within the Uganda Musicians Association, and the money is coming in from President Yoweri Museveni in form of a stimulus relief package. But guess what? It is causing a lot of hurdles within the Uganda Musicians Association. What better person to acquaint us with what is happening in this jurisdiction than Andrew Kagwa himself? A very good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Okay, fists are flying around because of this money President Museveni promised the musicians. They went to Salim Saleh at some point last week, around Wednesday. Some artists were beaten. Help acquaint us with the genesis of this story.
You see, I think the very first thing I would say is if a parent out there has a reason to refuse a child from pursuing the arts, I think this could be the reason. As an arts practitioner, as a journalist who covers the arts, and a person who is very enthusiastic about the industry, I feel like we've been ashamed and we've been embarrassed by whatever is going on. I mean, we are 1 year into the pandemic, and if artists are still investing a lot of money to go to Gulu to beg, it definitely shows there is a problem. I mean, 1 year in the pandemic, the industry needs to find a plan B. If they've not been performing for a year, the industry needs to find a plan B, because this is not the only industry that's been on a lockdown. Like, world over, the industry are on a lockdown, and world over, there are very many industries that have not gotten a stimulus package. But now, to get to what you're saying, yes, a section of artists, apparently there were two sections of artists that went, I think an association, and then some people that are trying to break away from the association. So these two kind of went to Gulu, and according to what I gathered, they had been told to stay somewhere or leave. They will call only those they need, but some chose to stay in Gulu, and they kind of harassed, I don't know who harassed who, but they kind of went to the barracks.
We are a group of 50 artists. We go to Gulu to meet Salim Saleh, the brother of the president, Yoweri Museveni.
Yes.
Now, Saleh decides to speak to only a small cabal
because
from the artists. And refuse, and in turn they decide to beat us.
I would totally understand him trying to talk to a section, because you cannot be solving issues of an industry and you're speaking to everyone. Like, there needs to be representatives. But my only problem in this, or my biggest problem in all this is what on earth
were they thinking to go to Salim Saleh?
Not just them thinking, but him receiving them, him deciding to see some. Like, what role is Salim Saleh playing as long as Uganda's art industry is concerned? Like, what's his role? Like, is he a ministry? Like, even if he has a stimulus fund for artists, so even if he has their stimulus package, he's giving to them, he's giving it to them as who? Like, who is seeing this whole drama?
But of course, that would go a long way in spelling the situation on the ground. Andrew Kagwa, you yourself, you've been calling for a legal framework to guide the musicians in the country.
Yes.
Meaning, if there is a legal framework, there would be a sector that governs the artists. So since there is no sector or institution governing artists, Salim Saleh, that's when he comes in.
As who?
As a mediator.
As a mediator. Okay, the thing is,
it seems like he received the money because someone trusts him as someone who can actually deliver this money to the artists.
You see, the biggest problem with this industry is that we do not plan the way we respond or the way we make our requests.
Right.
And that hurts them a lot. I mean, I understand many of the people that tried to access Salim Saleh or went to Salim Saleh were musicians. And to tell you the truth, the music industry in Uganda, much as they've not been performing for a year, has had some chances. One, they've released music, which means some of them can earn some little money on YouTube, streaming sites. They can earn some money. But think about it, there are people that are practicing theater.
You know, you can only earn money on YouTube if you have 1 million views. How many Ugandans right here, our artists, can pull off 1 million views on YouTube and get that $10,000?
It's actually not 1 million views.
It's not 1 million.
You can get some money. It's not as much, but you can get some money even without 1 million views. All I know is you can't get paid if you have under 100 views.
Really?
But but I do not know an artist in Uganda who has under 100 views. At least many of them.
Yes.
The lowest they can have is 1,000 views plus. So the money is coming in. It could be very little, but there is some money coming in, and they could use this time to actually market themselves on these online platforms. Because when you look at how Ugandans have been consuming online spaces, it's a fact that there are Ugandans on these online spaces. But as I was saying, think about people like theater makers. Think about comedians. Like, let's face it, many of them have been out of work, like completely out of work for a full year. But then for some reason, you have artists that have all the reasons to create, even in this situation, making much of the noise, which says a lot about the leadership, and it says a lot about maybe the caliber of artists we have. Like, it scares me.
It seems like you're saying, Andrew Kagwa, instead of these artists clamoring for this money, they should instead reside all their energies in creating more art.
They should,
to make money.
Right now, they should be thinking about a plan B. Because let's look at it this way.
Go ahead.
Let's suppose they are given 1 billion or 2 billion, okay. 2 billion for a stimulus package. In other places where there has been a stimulus package for the yachts, this is how it has worked. They give National Theatre money, and that money is for artists to create work. Because of the pandemic, many of them have been out, and they were not able to create work, because creating new work needs money.
Indeed.
So you have this stimulus package where people will come and get money to create work. While they are creating this work, they are going to employ people. So that's how you basically kickstart an industry.
But you give us an hypothesis of how much money is in this relief fund. Give us a factual figure. How much money is in this relief fund? And why are they fighting so hard?
I've had different figures, but all I know, all the figures I've had have been more than 1 billion. But what I was trying to get to is, we do not have a plan of how these artists are actually going to use the money.
I hear you.
Are they getting the money to go and pay their rent bills, pay their electricity bills? Is it only for musicians? Are producers within somewhere? And if they are all just getting money to pay their bills and kickstart their lives, what happens if the money is done? Are they going to go back and they're like, okay, the money you gave us is done, we need more?
So you're one of the individuals who would rather opt for another long-term solution, not just handouts that
a long-term solution is needed,
finished.
Not a handout.
Yes.
And the long-term solution is create a fund, and that fund will help people create work. You come and show me what you want to do, and how many people you're going to employ, how much you're going to pay them, and I'll give you money according to that budget.
More like the youth livelihood fund, meaning a continuous process, not just a one-off. Yearly we have a fund.
Right now we are trying to kickstart an industry, and trust me, if you have a fund, even if it's for just this year, it will kickstart this industry better than if you do not have a fund. Because if you do not have a fund, that means people will not be able to create work, and there will be a drought for works come 2022. If you create that fund, people will employ people, people will get work, and people will produce work.
I see.
So that's what we need, because if you just have this silly fund over here of 1 billion, and you're going to give it to our artists, one, you need to know how many artists we have. Suppose we have about 10,000 artists, and they're going.
Don't even know how many artists.
Yes, and suppose we have about 10,000 artists, and they're going to share 1 billion. You might end up with everyone getting about 100K, and how much can that take you?
Okay, here are the fears. Andrew Kagwa, you've talked about how we could be having even more than 10,000 artists, and how it will be so hard to share this money amongst all these individuals. But here's the fact: artists are saying this money might not reach them. It might be divided among the small cabal, the small group of artists that met General Salim Saleh.
The only reason that money might not reach them is because they do not have a plan of how to use it. Because, let's face it, this is not the very first money artists are receiving. I know there was a group of artists that received about 400 million.
When was this?
From the president. That was 2016. You see, that's the time artists strengthen their relationship. I could say,
Bonga now.
yes, after Tubonga Nawe. They got a lot of money, but to date, it's so hard to find out what exactly
seems like
happened
that
to this
money was
money.
divided among the Tubonga Nawe artists and not the fraternity of artists as a whole.
Even if, but you see, some of the things they said they were going to do with the money was they were going to start a circle. Is that circle existing? How much money is on that circle if it exists?
How many people have been helped?
And how many people have been helped? Because if that circle existed, we would be seeing the fruits right now. Because, I mean, one of the people that received that money is one of the people that sorry is crying out, well, you need to open bars. And that's another funny thing, like a year into this crisis, when we still have people asking government to open bars, not knowing that cinemas have been open since September, if I'm not mistaken, and cinemas are struggling to get people. Like, how are our artists sure that if they open bars, people are actually going to come and see them? Like, how sure are they that there are people that are waiting?
Well, Uganda Breweries Limited is injecting some £1 million to help the revival of these bars. Do you think that money will go a long way in helping alleviate that stress?
How many bars have performances in Kampala?
And they're usually one-offs, short 30 minutes,
Yes.
maybe on a Friday.
They're usually
Saturday.
one-off, probably on a special Wednesday. And even when those ones happen, they'll go for people that know how to sing. No offense.
Upcoming, they never.
They will go
they
for
never
bands like Janzi, Abeka, because these people sing. They do not hurt our ears. Again, sorry for that.
throwing shade. Go ahead.
So how I see this whole thing that please reopen us, open bars, but how sure are we that when they open bars, artists are actually going to perform?
I'm pretty sure when they reopen bars, there is that, hunger, that anticipation that people have been going through to go to the bars. Just like the churches.
We have the hunger to socialize.
Andrew Kagwa, when we shut down churches, there was a slow movement of people from their homes to the churches. So you had few congregants going to the churches. But after the lockdown, and when we resumed all services at the churches, people started flocking the churches simply because they had missed that opportunity to go to the church. So we feel like people from the Ghana Breweries Limited, that when we open the bars, there'll be that demand. People are clamoring to go back to the bars.
I will tell you one thing.
Our Saturday shows, Friday, the Saturday Night Live show on NTV, you have people watching, millions of viewers right here in Uganda and elsewhere.
Yes.
Saturday night show, you have people who are watching these shows, meaning they can't wait for these entertainment
one thing I will tell you is that NTV Dance Party
we do it better.
is watched even when there is no artist performing. So that should be a point to ponder about. Like, are people going to go to bars because there will be artists performing? People are going to go to bars because they like to socialize.
Have a good time.
Yeah, they want to socialize. They would not even care if there is an artist performing or not.
I hear you now.
And like I said earlier, how many bars in Uganda do actually have shows going on every day?
As a recommendation, maybe they should start when they are reopened. What do you think?
Like, the bars are also broke.
And that's where the money from UBL comes in.
Yes, to kickstart them, to pay the bills and keep the bars running. Like, you cannot get a fund when you're running a bar, and you start by using $1 million of that fund every day to hire an artist. So artists should really be thinking about Plan B. And even as they ask for this fund to kickstart them, they should be thinking about better ways of using this fund, not to go and pay their bills, or as they usually say, kwe kuba konfufu.
All right,
like
we could go on
shouldn't
and
be
on and
thinking
on
like that.
talking about the machinations of the Uganda Musicians Association and why it is a dead organization. But if we do not talk about the president, the acting president who is handling the matters of this association, who would be doing the artists a disservice, Cindy Sanyu, what kind of role should she be playing in all this?
Right now, I do not know if Cindy is asking the right questions when it comes to all the meetings they have with people that matter. I don't know if they are asking the right questions or saying the right things. Right now, you know, I'm a person that loves asking for policy, and I can never stop asking for a policy that works for them.
I hear you.
Because it's long term. But even in this situation, one, they can ask for an artist fund. Like, it's healthy for any country to have an artist fund. Like, there are many ways this industry contributes to the economy, that some of that money should be coming back. Like, I know the only money that comes back to the industry is the one that goes to UPRS.
Uganda Performing Rights Society.
Yes.
They have some 100 million coming in from Google. Did that money, even a single 100 shilling coin, go a long way helping artists during COVID-19?
That's a very long story.
I'm telling you.
But I'm looking at other organs that make money off the industry. There is URA.
Yeah.
Like, I know URA, there is no concert that goes on without URA getting some money off it. URA, some money from URA should be coming back to the industry.
So these are the questions Cindy Sanyu should be asking.
These are the questions they should be asking. There should be a fund for artists, and it should be continuous. Like, this whole stimulus package should be the start, but the package should stay. And if it stays, they need to find ways of working on it. It shouldn't be a fund to help artists treat themselves when they become sick and they can't afford bills. It should help them create better works, and it should help them employ themselves. For instance, if I'm getting that fund and I'm doing a project, say it's an album, I should be able to hire Ugandans. That's why you're bringing the money back to the industry.
Policy, yes.
Like, instead of me getting all that money, do an album, then shoot videos from South Africa and Nigeria, I should be working with Ugandan producers.
It should be one of the conditions before you get the money.
And it should be one of the conditions before you get the money.
I hear you.
You should be able to tell us how much you actually need and who is going to be working with you and how much you're going to pay all these
And also, Andrew Kagwa, we could come here and blame artists for having gone to Gulu to meet Salim Saleh and so forth. Some people might say it appeared to be like they were begging. But then, what else could they do? They've been off jobs for over a year. Bars have been shut down. I mean, what other moral option did they have in this situation? In your opinion, Andrew
Romeo.
Kagwa? Because they are watching, and I don't really want to bash them because
no,
they didn't have
it's
any
not.
other
It's
option.
not bashing them. Journalists have lost jobs in the past 1 year.
We did.
There are people that were working in arcades and they couldn't manage the rent after all this happened, and they lost jobs. Like, everyone has lost jobs. It's not just them. And people have somehow found a plan B. They are very lucky they have a talent. Like, talent is gold.
Maximize on it.
And the thing about talent when you're a singer is that it goes anywhere. Like, let's think about it this way. You have an artist like Apas.
Go ahead. I love his music. It's
Like,
great.
Apas, before the pandemic, was rarely booked. And Apas has never done a solo concert. So we can technically say Apas was in the pandemic, before the pandemic. He wasn't being booked, but for some reason, he's kind of comfortable.
Yeah.
Maybe artists need to find out how is he comfortable. It's because probably an artist like him knows there are other ways to actually make money from your music without going to the stage.
Remember the onset of the pandemic last year? We were having these conversations, Andrew Kagwa, and I was telling you about how artists in the US were releasing music, and within 3-4 days they would have over 4 million views. And I was asking you why artists in Uganda are not actually expounding more on that opportunity when everyone is at home, able to get online and watch their music to get advantage.
It's because one, our internet penetration is nothing to really talk about. And,
so meaning before I even try to go
and
to
of
the
course,
booth
internet
and
is
offer some music, I'm going
yes.
to put that as a reason why I shouldn't go to the booth.
It is, no, you should actually go to the booth. But since you have an association, these are some of the things, these are some of the conversations they should be bringing up.
Yes.
Like, hey guys, now we cannot perform. We can only use the internet and it's very expensive. These are the conversations they should be having. Like, in all the conversation artists should be having, I don't see how they end up in Gulu and how they end up being caned. Like, as, okay, I'm not truly a practitioner, but I cover the arts and I love this industry. I feel very, very embarrassed. Like, how will I tell my children, like, you can actually try the arts after seeing that you do not even get the respect?
All right, and before I let you go, who qualifies to get this money? And shouldn't they, as the artists, be demanding more money from President Yoweri Museveni moving forward, and even the government, so that this is not just a one-off?
At the moment, I don't think they even have clear indications or clear definitions of who qualifies to get the money or how someone can get the money. I don't think they have such depth when it comes to that money, which is still a problem also. They've not defined, because I remember there was a time I was on set with Fina, you remember, and I asked her, who is an artist? And I don't remember if that question was answered, because
she dwelled on to something else.
With the way they are asking for this money, I might come up and I will tell them I'm an artist, I need to get this money, and they will chase me because, one, they've not seen my music on TV, they've not had me on radio, not knowing they're actually artists who are making music without necessarily being on TV. The artists who are making music without necessarily singing, but doing it the way DJ Khaled does. You get people, they sing, they are the face, but the actually music actually belongs to you. So at the moment, they've not defined who is an artist, and thus they've not defined who actually gets the money.
And Anukagwa, before I let you go, the pandemic is still raging. We are still grappling. The relief fund, there are bullets riddled in this relief fund. But then, what else can these artists do moving forward to actually make ends meet?
Right now, we have
getting the stimulus fund.
Right now, with or without the stimulus fund, artists should be looking for a plan B.
Go ahead. What kind of plan B?
What kind of a plan B?
And it shouldn't be peaceful protests.
No. That will not work for them. It will not. One, the public will not join them because the public feels like they did not have a voice when they wanted them to have a voice.
I hear you.
So the public will not join them. But what the artists need to do right now is think. This is the time you sit and think with your group. Okay, not a group, your management. You sit and think. One, they have to get their monies from UPRS. Like, they need to put those guys on tenterhooks to get their money.
I even spoke to the officials in UPRS, and what they told me was, like, we have money for these artists, but they are disorganized.
Right now, they should find ways of organizing themselves and get that money, because that money belongs to them. But then besides that, they should be more creative. Like, we have these beer brands, we have these soft drinks, we have NTV. Like, all these people can be worked with, and all these people need music,
and they
because
can use their celebrity status to be ambassadors for
for things, and it all starts with sitting down.
Look at how it is raging. Look at how it's raining.
Yeah.
EPAS could be an ambassador on climate change.
It all starts with how you sit down and you actually draw a plan. Because when you become an artist, you become a celebrity and you become a brand.
Brand ambassador.
And the brand is not just existing to be on stage, jumping up and down. There is more you can do with that brand. So, so I'm thinking this is the time for them to sit and rethink their whole music business.
But nonetheless, they still need this money from the stimulus fund.
They still need that money, but like I said, regardless of the fact that that money comes in,
they should have
how many of them are going to get that money, and how much will they get?
The very courageous Andrew Kagwa is an arts and culture journalist with the Daily Monitor. We have him every Friday compounding on the latest information coming in the world of entertainment. Many thanks for having made the time to speak to us, even though it's a bit chilly.
Yes.
But how do you like the ambience at the Kampala Sheraton Hotel?
These are my guys.
Have a cup.
I usually come here for the different arts and culture events they have. I remember last year I was here for the Italian week, and we launched a comic book.
All right.
Yeah, so
Have that cupcake and tell me how it feels. Great. All right. If you also want to have such a scrumptious cupcake, please come over to the Kampala Sheraton Hotel. They have amazing, amazing food, amazing delicacies. You do not want to miss anything that they have in store for you. This is the weekend. NMG, the Nation Media Group, we are also partners with the Sheraton Hotel. I have my brother Samuel Bakutana. He's already here. We're going to be talking about how we could have linkages of Good Friday to our leaders today. Jesus was betrayed by his second person, Simon Peter, but he did not actually get angry.
He was actually betrayed by Judas.
Actually, he was denied. He was denied by Simon Peter 3 times. He betrayed by Judas Iscariot. He forgave all of them. So as leaders of today, how many can actually forgive their opponents? We'll be right back with that conversation.